Rolling? Sorry. You can't have the arrogance to think कि यार मैंने ये फिल्म में इतनी मेहनत की, अभी ये फिल्म तो फटेगी ही फटेगी. Your mother told you not to get into acting, and yet here you are. Here I am. And like I think I just got so awestruck by his energy that like mid-step, like I looked at him and I just kept looking at him like, oh my god, what are you doing? They kept that in the song. Hi guys, this is Janhvi Kapoor and this is Beyond the Brief with District Movies. Achiyama feels very deeply rooted in Peddi's universe. How, where did I find her? I think I found her in all of Butchie Sir's. He had a very extensive backstory. He had already collected a bunch of references about how he was visualizing her body language, her attitude, where she was coming from, what her role in Peddi's journey is. And so really I was following his lead. And in the environment that we were shooting, there were so many actors around me that were from a similar milieu. So yeah, that helped a lot. Do you trust your instincts on set or do you need the director to be the final word? I think for me, the director is obviously the final word because he's the one that says cut, he's the one that says moving on. You can't move on without the director being convinced. You can't override a director's conviction, and that's exactly what I've done. I think even in moments where maybe I was a little apprehensive about certain things, I, would put my point across, but ultimately, you just have to trust your director and his conviction, and especially when it's a director like Butchie Sir, who has a track record for making such amazing rooted work like Opena, you feel a little more confident in going with his convictions.
You also called yourself obsessive about one of your movie's creative processes. So what does that obsession look like on set for you?
I think I don't like letting something go till I know that I've juiced it completely, till I know that I've tried every possible way to attempt that scene. And of course, sometimes some things just click instantly. But even then, I feel like I always keep wondering if there was a way to do it better or if a different way to approach it, and I obsess over it. Even after we've shot the scene, I'll call up Butchie sir and be like, should we have done it like this? Can we do this? And the next scene, does this mean this happens? And so I stay in it a lot. Do you trust your instincts on, okay, sorry, this is the old one. When a scene is really working out for you, what does that feel like from the inside as an actor? I'll tell you what it felt like on this set. There were two instances where I'm addressing a really large crowd, right? And I mean, even with my experience in public speaking for when I'm promoting movies, I get a bit nervous when I speak in front of crowds, but this crowd was so receptive, and I'm speaking in a language that isn't my first language. But when I delivered my monologue, everyone in the crowd started clapping because I think even they were surprised that I mugged up those lines and performed it, and that felt like, okay, clearly maybe the scene is working because so many thousands of people have responded to it, and so that was a very tangible visual validation. Was there a scene in Peddi where something happened that you didn't plan and it ended up being the realest thing in the film? Actually, in this song, Hello that we did, there's one part where me and Ramsa were doing a dance, and like I think I just got so awestruck by his energy that like mid-step, like I looked at him and I just kept looking at him like, oh my god, what are you doing? And like he continued, and like whatever, there was a moment, and they kept that in the song. It wasn't planned that way. It was planned for me to finish the step and us to have like a filmy finisher move, but I just like, I couldn't help but like look at what he was doing and the speed and energy with which he was performing, and I looked genuinely awestruck by him, so they kept that.
Was there like any scene that you looked at afterwards and you genuinely couldn't recognize yourself in it?
I think my entry scene, my first scene in the film, which was also the first scene that I shot, which I was very nervous about because it was such a departure from all the characters that I played, and I was like, I don't know if I can pull this off, but when I see the scene now, it feels pretty cool. Your mother told you not to get into acting, and yet here you are, here I am. Did you ever feel like you had to prove something to her memory, or is it simpler than that? No, I don't think I ever felt like I had to prove something to her memory, but for me, it's really as simple as not many people are blessed with the opportunity to do what they love every day. By God's grace, I have that, and it makes me happy, and I want to continue doing what makes me happy. And I don't, for a second, lose sight of the fact that it's a profession that, although makes me very happy and has a lot of perks in it for me, it is a profession of service. And so it means a lot to me to give back to the audiences because of whom I'm enjoying these opportunities and this life that I'm leading. So I think that means a great deal to me.
Was there like a work ethic that you picked up from her?
Just to give everything your best, like your every single thing. I've grown up on stories of her saying, oh, I shot this rain song with 104 fever, or I danced till my feet bled, or I, like, 10 days after my father passed away, I had to do this comedy scene, and I did it, and I gave it my best because the audience doesn't care what's going on in your life. The show must go on, and they have certain standards. And I think that I've sort of always glorified that work ethic and tried to stick by it. And I've collected some such stories of myself now, which I'll be happy to pass on to my kids. You dislocated both your shoulders training for Mr. and Mrs. Mahi. You've put your body through a lot of roles. Does that physical cost change what ends up on screen, or does it remain invisible? I think it remains invisible, honestly. And sometimes all of these things that you do, it isn't necessary that उस चीज़ का फल उसी फिल्म के नतीजे में दिखेगा. कई बार I think it's about persistence and consistency. You can't have the arrogance to think कि यार मैंने ये फिल्म में इतनी मेहनत की, अभी ये फिल्म तो फटेगी ही फटेगी, या ये परफॉर्मेंस में तो लोग देखेंगे ही देखेंगे. Sometimes it's just about knowing that you're doing it for the right reason, you're doing it because it's a part of your profession and it's a part of what you love doing, and just keep doing it and don't think of the results, because if you're actually genuinely true to your craft, then it has to come and it has to resonate with someone at some point or another. So I think it's invisible for most of it, because I know some people get away with doing like nothing at all and it's as effective, but I think it's all about intent.
Do you think pain kind of unlocks something in a scene emotionally sometimes?
It does for me, you know. I feel in scenes where I've been in actual physical pain and my characters had to depict that, it's always manifested very truthfully. Like in Millie, for example, I was really unwell for this freezer portion, and in Mahi, because I had dislocated both my shoulders, there was a lot of tentativeness and anxiety, and I'm doing this against all odds nature and what I was feeling, and I think that translated on screen now. Whether people picked up on it or not is something that I can't really help.
And working opposite Ramcharan sir, did his level of physical commitment change how you showed up to the set?
It was so inspiring, and I'll tell you what was the most inspiring was the ease with which he, because sometimes you see actors do these kind of crazy transformations and they make like they're very dramatic about it on set, like, oh my god, like, no, I can't eat that, or I can't do that, and like, oh, I'm like going through this. But for him it was just like a given. It was just like, I've signed up to do this, this is what the role requires, I'm going to do it as best I can, and I'm going to keep my head down and do it quietly in a corner, which I found to be a trait that I've grown to respect a lot. Yep, I think we're done. Hi guys, book tickets for my new movie Peddi exclusively on District.